You're listening to Midlife Side Quest, the Over the Hill Gaming Podcast. Here's your host, John Wall.
It's May 8th, 2025, and welcome to episode 132 of Midlife Side Quest, the Over the Hill video game podcast. My name is John Wall, and every week I bring you my video game impressions, the latest industry news, and tales of a Gen X geek delivered to you in just 15 minutes. Thank you very much for tuning in to the show this morning. On today's episode, I'm going to be talking about Marvel's Thunderbolts. But first, let's check out some gaming news. And last week, Xbox followed Nintendo and Sony's lead by raising prices in response to Donald Trump's tariffs. The hikes are happening pretty much across the board, but the headliners are the Series S going up $80 to $379, and the Series X going up $100 to $599. And starting this holiday, most big first-party Xbox titles are going to be $80, a number which matches Nintendo's recent Mario Kart World price tag. This is a pretty significant jump, and for a company already struggling to move hardware, not a very promising one. Now, we all know why companies are doing this. Trump has thrown the global economy into chaos, and the video game industry, along with pretty much everybody else, they're trying to plan for the uncertainty. And make no mistake, Trump's stupidity may have caused this, but I think that even if he rolls the tariffs back or, keels over from a Big Mac overdose, these prices are here to stay. After all, if consumers get used to having to pay this much for their games, I doubt Microsoft or Sony will just go back to the way things were. I do wonder if Microsoft is uniquely positioned to get through the turbulence of these price hikes unscathed or less scathed, I guess. After all, if you haven't heard, pretty much everything in your house is an Xbox now, right? From your TV and laptop to your iPad and your phone. Xbox is untied from the need to have a specific piece of hardware like nobody else is. Also, Game Pass remains an incredible value and is now an even better way to stretch your gaming dollar and get every first-party game for cheap. And even besides all that, there's still plenty of ways to avoid having to drop $80 on all of your games. GameFly still exists. That's still a thing. You can rent games. Games also go on sale all the time, and maybe this is a great time to try out some more indie titles. There are lots of incredible games dropping anywhere from $10 to $30. Ever since 2019's Endgame, Marvel Studios has been trying to fill an Avengers-sized hole in the MCU. That movie was such a perfect conclusion to everything that they'd been building towards since 2008. But it also left the biggest movie franchise in the world without the glue that had been holding it together. 6 years later, Marvel's Thunderbolts shows a world facing the same almost meta kind of problem as Disney is facing. What do you do when you no longer have Steve Rogers, Tony Stark, and the Avengers to save you? So in this film, you've got characters from multiple different Marvel shows being thrown together into a haphazard team brought together by Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, the director of the CIA, who we've gotten glimpses of in various other Marvel shows and end credit stingers over the last couple of years. And she's played by Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who brings just the right amount of sleaze, of scuzziness to the role. Each of the characters has done work for her over the years as solo Black Ops agents, but when someone tries to take them all out, they are forced to work together, whether they like it or not. You've got Yelena, Alexei, and Taskmaster from the Black Widow movie. John Walker, who was the dollar store Captain America in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. There's Bucky himself. Ghost, who was the villain in Ant-Man and the Wasp. And Bob. And we hadn't met Bob before this movie. With this lineup, I was expecting a light-hearted, joke-filled romp with cool action and lots of one-liners. And we get some of that. There's definitely some cool action scenes, and there are plenty of jokes. What I wasn't expecting is a movie that made me actually care about some of these characters and focuses heavily on mental health, tackling topics like depression, suicide, and addiction. Yeah, in a Marvel movie. Now, I wouldn't blame you if your first thought was, oh dear God, the last thing I want to see is Marvel botch sensitive subjects like that. But the real shocker is that they actually handle it pretty darn well with thoughtfulness and respect. And in the process, they create what might be one of the most emotionally mature superhero movies I've ever seen. And definitely one of the better Marvel films in the post-Endgame era. I'm as surprised as you. So whereas the Avengers, for the most part, feel like gods, or, literally are gods, these characters are much more relatable and feel like real people. Yes, real superhero people, but you know what I mean. They've got baggage and trauma, and they've screwed up in ways that they are struggling to come to terms with. Florence Pugh, in particular, is fantastic, delivering a, at times, heartbreaking performance as Yelena fights to move on from the horrible things that she was forced to do as a Red Room assassin. Does this darker and more serious tone clash at times with the one-liners and the jokes? Yeah, occasionally, but I think they use humor effectively for the most part to break the tension when things are getting really heavy. And there are some really funny bits in here. I mean, David Harbour is great as always as Red Guardian, and the entire team have a lot of fun chemistry playing off of each other. They hate each other at first, but eventually learn to reluctantly work together. My favorite part of the movie, though, is probably Bob, played by Lewis Pullman. Now, I don't want to say too much about him because he starts the movie as a complete mystery, but Pullman is great in the role, giving a really nuanced performance, and he's probably my favorite new MCU character since Miss Marvel. If you've managed to somehow avoid the secret behind the asterisk in the title, despite Marvel themselves posting the spoiler all over their social channels, I won't give it away here, but it gives you a glimpse of what the immediate future holds for the MCU and a tease to the upcoming conclusion to the multiverse saga. The problem is, as much as I really like this movie and the characters and the story that they're telling, the way that it fits into the greater Marvel storyline isn't very satisfactory so far. Unlike with Infinity War and Endgame, it doesn't feel like all of the pieces are coming together in a way that makes sense. It's more like they set out for this destination, but along the way, they got lost, had to turn around, gotten a few fender benders, and are finally getting to where they were going, but now they're late, and everyone is wondering if it was worth the trip in the first place. Removed from the grander machinations of the MCU, though, this is a great movie with characters that you root for, even though they aren't exactly the good guys. They handle the complicated issues of mental health quite well and show that heroes don't need to be invincible to be compelling, and their vulnerabilities make them all the more relatable. If we get more grounded human stories like this moving forward, then maybe the future of the MCU is brighter than I thought, with or without the Avengers. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and did you know that 1 in 10 men experience depression or anxiety? It's something that a lot of men don't like talking about, even though it's perfectly normal and affects millions of people. There's a stigma around it, and many men feel like they can't admit when they're not doing okay, which is scary because even though 10% of men will experience it, less than half of them will seek treatment for it. And men are 4 times as likely to die of suicide. It is so important to speak up if you feel like you might suffer from depression. It's no different than if you're experiencing chest pain or you break a bone. You know, your body is telling you that something is wrong and you should see a doctor to try and fix it. And obviously mental health is, trickier to heal than putting a cast on a broken bone, but there are lots of treatment options that can be effective. When I was really sick about a year ago, my mental health took a massive hit, but going on antidepressants made a big difference, and I'm very glad to be on them still today. So I greatly encourage you to talk to your doctor if you think you might need some help. There is absolutely no shame in admitting that you're not okay. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Thank you so much for listening to Midlife Side Quest. I really appreciate you making time in your day to hang out with me. You can catch a new episode of the show every Thursday morning wherever you listen to podcasts, and you can support the show by subscribing and leaving a review. Until next time, be well and happy gaming.